powerful labor boss with mob ties. A kidnapping with few clues. A whodunit that stumped investigators for 3 decades. Shocking unsolved crime number 4 is the disappearance of union boss Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa is one of the most influential and yet notorious figures in terms of unions.
If you try to imagine somebody as well known today as Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton rolled into one, but with much more power than that combined group have presently, that was Jimmy Hoffa.
James Riddle Hoffa organized his first labor strike at the age of 17. In the 50s and 60s, he helped assemble one of the most powerful labor unions in history. At its peak, the Teamsters represented more than 2 million members. Hoffa combined toughness and street smarts. He was also a convicted felon with no shortage of enemies.
I don't have time to be vindictive in my life. I'm 58 years old. I feel that I have a long life ahead of me, and I'll take care of my own problems.
In 1964, he was convicted of attempted bribery. He was sentenced to 15 years behind bars.
President Nixon actually commuted the sentence as long as Jimmy Hoffa promised that he wouldn't be involved in union affairs for at least 10 years. Behind the scenes, Jimmy Hoffa was building up his union empire again.
On July 30th, 1975, Jimmy Hoffa arrived at the Macus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Hoffa was there to meet 2 guys who had ties to the union and organized crime.
He was going to meet Tony Provenzano and Jack Giacolani. My understanding is that the purpose of that meeting was to iron out this whole issue of whether Jimmy Hoffa was going to run for the presidency of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
Jimmy called his wife when neither man appeared, but somebody else did show up. Hoffa was last seen by an eyewitness leaving the parking lot of the restaurant in the back seat of a dark red Mercury Marquis. Jimmy was sitting next to a man who appeared to be holding a shotgun. Police found Hoffa's abandoned car in the parking lot of the restaurant. There were no signs of a struggle.
My father, James R. Hoffa, has been missing for some 32 hours.
I think it's reasonable to assume that he knew somebody in that car. Well, I don't think he would have gotten into a car with strangers.
At the present time, we have no information as to the present whereabouts of Mr. Hoffa.
There were a number of theories. Perhaps the mob wanted to silence a man they feared could give away secrets. Maybe the union brass were afraid Hoffa was going to take back leadership of the Teamsters. Some thought Hoffa was involved in other criminal ventures that somehow went awry.
The issue that was framed when he disappeared was, where is Jimmy Hoffa? Not who killed Jimmy Hoffa.
It's been more than 30 years since Hoffa's disappearance. Police have searched dozens of locations for the missing labor leader.
I've heard that he might be buried under the 50-yard line of Giants Stadium, that he's in the footings of the Mackinac Bridge, that he's in the foundation of the Renaissance Center in Detroit. There are many, many different suggestions about what might have happened with Jimmy Hoffa. The fact is, we just don't know.
In 2004, former Teamsters official Francis Sheeran allegedly confessed on his deathbed that he shot Hoffa at a Bloomfield, Michigan home and transported his body to a nearby incinerator.
Within a minute and a half of the house on Beaverland Street are 2 cremation ovens in the Grand Lawn Cemetery. Before the hit, Sheeran was told that Hoffa would be cremated, that there would be no body.
DNA tests of stains found at the house did not match Hoffa. Most recently, in 2006, a barn at a Michigan horse farm was demolished as the FBI searched for Jimmy's remains. Still no Hoffa.
Don't hold your breath. Whoever got rid of Jimmy Hoffa's body many years ago knew what they were doing. They were pros.
James Riddle Hoffa was declared legally dead in 1982. His son, James P. Hoffa, followed in Dad's footsteps as president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. It's a cautionary tale for every young woman who comes to Hollywood with a dream. It's been called the murder that changed Los Angeles. Shocking unsolved crime number 3 is the grisly death of the woman known as the Black Dahlia.
She was the perfect stereotype of what you would call prey. She was attractive, young, naive.
In 1946, 22-year-old aspiring actress Elizabeth Short moved to Los Angeles with visions of fame. On the evening of January 9th, 1947, Betty Short headed out for a night on the town. Short's mutilated remains were found 6 days later in a vacant lot. Her mouth had been sliced into a gruesome smile. Her nude body had been cut cleanly in half and drained of blood.
It's about the most heinous thing that you could do to a woman.
They knew from the way she was cut in half that whoever did it had a lot of surgical skill.
It was evident from the lack of blood that Betty was killed elsewhere and dumped at the scene. But by whom?
It's open, there's street lights, people live a block away.
Nobody was looking to hide this body. They wanted it to be found.
Thousands of people were questioned. No credible suspects emerged. The LA press dubbed the raven-haired Betty the Black Dahlia. Since 1947, more than 500 people have confessed to killing the Black Dahlia. Police don't believe any of them.
The fact is, there is nothing left of the physical evidence to compare.
If that evidence were available today, they could try to do the DNA testing on it, but that opportunity is long gone.
Ironically, through her gruesome death, Elizabeth Short achieved the fame she sought. Coming up, we're down to the final 2 shocking unsolved crimes on our list.
You have to be thinking in terms of the possibility of a psychosexual killer, a serial killer.